conversation, although I know it's only one way. And I'm talking about inflation. And really the question is, how badly could it hurt you? So I've tried to take, in my sixth market cycle, and a market cycle is about 10 years or a decade, addressing what's happening right now. And I had this visual to try and explain it. Think of a box tucked in a corner. You've got three different axes that I'm going to talk about. So first is supply, and the second is demand. What is happening is demand is increasing because people have more money, but the supply is being choked off. Sadly, it's being choked off a lot by what regulators are doing and what's happening with government types of controls. And that creates a real serious problem because that impacts ultimately the market price, as you can see when those two cross over. And that the outcome of that, because you have this, think of a little forest fire, becomes a forest fire, in that inflation takes off when those two cross and you've got that imbalance between demand and supply. The firefighter for this is the Federal Reserve, and they're trying to increase interest rates, which should suppress demand, but also the money that's in supply, the money that rotates around the system is very high, and they're not doing a lot right now to reduce it. So you got a lot of money chasing less goods, which creates inflation. We've had other periods of this. The 70s was the last time that we had it. I can remember 18% mortgage rates. I hope we never go back to those kind of things again. So three questions I'm going to try and touch on. What can I do? Will I run out of money if I'm close to retirement? And again, this is a view from my sixth decade of doing this. Really the questions that I think are most important are, where do you have your money allocated? Everybody has a pain or ouch point. That's very important. And then how many years are you still going to keep working or cutting wood for the fire to survive keeping you warm through the winters? And there are three, this is the way the majority of people think. You should have a certain amount set aside for income, some conservative, and then if there's something left over, dollars for long term. And the withdrawal rates and the sequence of returns have a huge impact on that strategy. Because if you start off, for example, in the 70s, and between 1970 and 1980, the S&P went up and went down, it was essentially flat for a decade. Then you had, as you got into the 80s and 90s, with lots of things that occurred, the stock market was good. We've come off of a period of several years that have been very positive. But right now, as I'm doing this video, the market is starting to really hit what is referred to as bear territory, which is a 20% decline. This is a tough time because if you pull that money out of the stock market now, it's not going to be there when the market comes back. And then that gets down to a withdrawal rate. Wasn't that long ago, people felt you could pull 5% a year off, and then it went to 4. Now you hear numbers in the 3% range. Those are all withdrawal rates trying to adjust for the impact of sequence of returns. Again, that's the traditional way of thinking. What we've done is beyond majority thinking, if you're comfortable with it. We have 4 allocations. We do the income, we do the conservative, we do looking at beyond 10 years. So for example, if you've got some of your wealth in the market and it's beyond 10 years, go back 10 years and see what the S&P 500 was doing 10 years ago versus today. And you'll see it's up. And that's just because in the ebb and flow, other than back in the 70s, you generally can see that occurs. But the last thing that we have is a permission slip that we build in here, which says, I can spend down both principal and interest. It's okay to do that because I'm going to reach in later and replace that. And gee, if I run out of money here, I still got my safe money down here in my lower right pocket, not in my back pocket where someone can steal it from me. That has tremendous impacts on the withdrawal rates and the amount of income you can take from each one of these. So for example, in the first option of income, you might have an asset allocation that you're going to spend down over 5 years. It's okay because I got other places where I'm going to replace that income. And if you would like to have a conversation about this, all you have to do is send back a note. You can send it to myself or to info@exponentx.net and put R-RON, that stands for retirement ready or not. And I'll do a very simple calculation for you that will help you get an idea of where are you. We have more in-depth things that we can do, but that one we'll gift to you. The only thing we ask is that if you get this, you respond within the next 5 business days and say, I want to do an R-RON. Thank you very much. I hope you're having a great day. Life is good. Thank you.